Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back into the Dragon's Den. I hope everyone's having a good day today. Raise this up so you're looking at me a little bit. Well, hello, everybody. I think what happened was my screen fell a bit and adjusted. Give me just a second here. I have no idea if that fixed it or made it worse, but we'll see. There we go. Welcome on in, everybody. How's everyone doing today? Hope everyone's doing fine. My name's Digital Dragon, 3D printing variety streamer here on Twitch and YouTube. Also, shop owner here in Sanford, North Carolina. So I hope everyone's having a great day today. It's been a good day. What is it? I think we got one more day left in the end of the quarter. Hey, Free Heathen, how's it going, sir? How are you doing this evening? So yeah, we made progress on the last stream over on Tuesday. We got all three axles done, and yes, we did get all three axles done. I stayed here for a few minutes after we stopped streaming and printed that one piece that we needed reprinted. It was like 15-minute print while I was shifting out some other prints and getting some other stuff started. So of course I ran over here and got that ready to go. So where we're going to be starting off at today, let's see, go over here to the bench side. So we're going to be starting off with this. We've got the frame over here on the bench, and we've got our axles laid out, or excuse me, the drive shafts laid out. We've got the first axle laying here, and the other two are on the bench right over there. We'll go over and grab them and bring them in as we're going, or as we go through today, and mount up the drive shafts, mount up the axles, and get everything brought into one big piece. Hey, Eagle, how are you doing, my friend? Sister's doing good. Your sister's doing good. Hey, Tinkering Techie, how's it going? Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday to everybody. I'll back out here a little bit so you can see a bit more of that. Again, this is the bench side view. Let's go over to the browser window and we should be able to see the manual. What is going on with that? Because I made the manual bigger. Make the manual window a little bit smaller. There you go. Now we all can see what's going on over there. Yeah, the frame's just jacked up a little bit. Hey, Down Under Maker, how's it going, Phil? Hope everyone's doing well today. We are getting ready to get started here. Let's see, we got F, R, 6x6, and the shorty. All ready to go and be installed. And we're going to start by installing a drive shaft marked with F, as shown in the picture, and that's going to get installed on the underside here. So let me move this first axle over, and I'm just going to flip this over, and we will make it easier to install the front axle. Again, double, triple, quadruple check that that is an F. Once again, I keep saying axle. My drive shaft here are printed in PET CF. So they're going to be really nice and strong. We're going to put this end of the ball into our Y socket here. And we're going to screw that down with an M2x20. So I'm just going to try and turn this around to make it easier to get that in. Stream went well? Good. Glad to hear that your stream went well. What I'm going to be doing right here is just trying to get the... Alrighty. Ball socket lined up in the joint. So there's going to be a little play in the shaft this way. Just the nature of the ball joint. Now I'm going to flip this over and we're going to see that I put the screw in on the wrong side. Because there's actually a spot for the head of the bolt to go down into. And just to be on the safe side, I didn't say install any grease or anything like that, right? Nope, it did not. So we're just going to flip this over and try the process again. There we go. Drive shaft in. Got plenty of movement there, so that's good. We installed that. Now we need to flip this back over and we will do the rear mount. And the R is the one on the bottom, which is actually this one here. I'm going to leave it in this orientation and go ahead and put this next one in. Once again, we're doing the one marked with R. And that's going to come into the lower one, which is the other side of the one that we just installed. And that goes in with an M2 by 20 as well. So once again, all of my internal gearing was done with Overture Easy Nylon. All of my drive shafts, my frame, the shock mounts, the shocks, that type of stuff was done with PET CF to try and make the frame really nice and rigid. The 6x6 is going to go in the other one, so I will flip this over now. I'm not sure what I just yeeted off there. Ah, the short shaft. And the other shaft is going to go right here. And once again, that's the longer one that has the 6x6 on it. And M2 by 20 yet again. That started. Just lined up here. I was watching DeWitt work on his Unimog yesterday, and he just got done with the first axle, started into the second axle, and was like, wait, I got to do this again? I'm like, you got to do this thing a total of 3 times. It's going to take a while. So yeah, so we've got the 3 main drive shaft links in here off of the gearbox itself. And we're going to start bringing in the front axle. And the front axle, which is right behind me, the servo is facing out towards the front, and our link arms are coming back this way towards the engine, and are going to be mounting on either side of the engine. We're going to slip this underneath here. Our drive shaft is going to need to line up with our differential over here. And I'm pretty sure, does it tell me to even put any grease in that differential? It does not, but I guess not a differential, but it'd be the, well, I guess it is the differential for the front axle. Why would we put grease in all the other ones and not grease in that one? Do you think we should put grease in there, or is it made to be non-greased? Anybody know? Anybody do RC stuff? All right. 3 M2x20s will go on each side. Three, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go ahead and get this started. Make sure I'm going into the right spot. Your audio is all muffled when you're leaning down on, yeah, it's called a beard. I need to probably trim that up a bit. All right, so what I'm trying to do is just get the link arm lined up in or on that screw. Apparently it was easier said than done. There's one. So life is so fun sometimes. Trying to close the gaps on these when I get the screws going in. Um, it might be clipping. I think I did increase the volume. Let me drop that back down again. Mic volume. Is that a little bit better? Let's see if that's a little bit better. Volume not the issue, it's more distorted. Well, like I said, it could be that my beard's getting in the way these days. All right. So we got those three in. Now I think what I want to do is try and drill these a little bit so I'm not trying to tap through the side at the same time as I'm trying to install the other stuff. Be careful when you're doing this after the fact that you don't drill into a wire or anything. But this should hopefully make life a little bit easier. Getting everything lined up on this side link. How is that going to work? Link's going to go up, link's going to get screwed in, and then you'll put in that arm. That go in before we get that link in, otherwise it's not going in. Ah! We're falling over! We're falling over! All right, so what I'm trying to do in a very, very poor way here, you see if I can flip this over and show everybody, is there's no real easy way to get this. If you install the linkage, then you're too tight to try and get this in there, or the ball joint in there. So we've got to get the ball joint in before we get the second linkage installed. Linkage. Drop down. There we go. Ball joint. Drop in. Drop the frame again off your supports, your jack stands. But I think we're at least in the place now. Linkage, why don't you line up for me? Feels so much like the fiddly part is trying to get the linkage lined up. Darn it, doesn't work either. Oh, hey, I just got lucky and got that one lined up. Nice. And just like that, we're 2 for 2 now. Great. Hey, Star Wars Bot Builder, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. We are over here working on the Unimog. All right, give me a second and I will see if I can find a better position for the mic. Like, I don't know, is that better? I'm not sure if I had it too far, too close, or what. How's it going, Mad Dog Jeff? I hope this is better. Please let me know if it's better or worse. Completely sucks and I'm a idiot streamer, I don't know. Okay, so after a little bit of pain, we did get our drive shaft and our front axle, I believe, in place. Let's see where we're going to go for the next one. Now repeat the same for the other side with 3 M3 by 20s. Check, check. And we did this part on Tuesday. Basically, we went through and we got the other, this axle done up for the 6x6. Yep, 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 yep. We installed that, we closed that, we got these 2 parts. This is one of these 2 parts is the one that I was missing on Tuesday. We did get that set up or reprinted right after the stream and get that installed. So this linkage is done up. I believe this is the next axle that we're going to install. Yes. So this would be the second axle. So on the second axle, we've got input on one side, output on the other. This is the one that's going to get installed next. We see if she will move down nicely for me so that we can get at least a little bit closer for you all. I do have her upside down. What I want to do is see about where that linkage gets mounted and screwed in. Mounting here, so we're going to be, linkage is going to go at this hump, 2, 1, 2, 1. Okay, so I'm going to drill out the holes that are in the side of the frame, because this is really the through hole. And what was happening up here was I was threading through the frame, start to thread into the mount for the 4-bar link, and it got all wonky on me. So we're just going to drill these out. Being careful that we don't drill into our own hand or into a bar or a drive shaft. Now, depending on the tolerance of your build, you could be doing this with a reamer. The nice thing about using a reamer versus a drill, which is what I'm using, is it ensures you get a nice concentric hole, and it tends to follow the existing hole. Instead of with a drill, you've got a spiral cutting edge, which is going to bite, and you could very well actually oval out a hole or create an issue with the hole. So we're coming in from the bottom side, and we're going into, looks like the lower of the two. So this would be the one going to the rear. This one, so we've got 2 drive shafts here. We're going to have to try and line both of these up. One there, one here. I could just go on the inside. You'll sit down there for now. And M2 by 20s again. Let's get a few of those available. And we'll see how much fun it is to get these lined up. I'm just going to try and get all 3 of these started on one side. We'll zip them in. That looks good. Is the mic any better now? And by the way, I have my electric screwdriver here set at, I believe it's at the 1 Newton meter torque setting. And you still need to be careful because you can literally drive these screws directly through this PET CF. Not directly through it. I mean, it will pull itself in. Hey, Pete, how's it going? Hope you're having a fun day today. I know we are. Because I'm trying to not eat this off the counter again while trying to get screws lined up. So we are working on getting our 3 axle shafts put in and do up the 4-link linkages along the way. I currently have this upside down because it just seems like it's a little bit easier to work with that way for this. Your mileage may vary if you're building one of these. All right. So remember, this particular one here has 2 drive shafts going into it. This one's feeding in here, and then this one is basically hitting up here and going into a secondary yoke that'll bring back to the final drive shaft. Okay, and we've now installed screws on both sides of this particular drive shaft, or axle, sorry. Now this would be finishing up and building the 4-link linkage for the rear axle, which we've already done. Did this at the end of last night's, or Tuesday night stream. Now it wants us to install the shaft here, and of course, this is linked to this, which is now linked to the front 2, and that shaft I can only get to the screw from the other side. So we're going to have to flip this over gently. Basically just let our axles and drive shafts hang down. How you doing there, Pez Liz? We'll grab this while we're over there. We've got our last shaft. This is going to go in, I believe it was an M2 or 20. Oh, a whole bunch of those right here. Lined up and driven in. All right. So that drive shaft is there. you like to build this, but I don't think my wife would let me sleep indoors for a while if I did. You know, Nemesis, I spend an awful lot of time here at the shop. Just saying. Awful lot of time here at the shop. Okay, now this axle, I'm just going to slide this underneath. And let's see what we got to do here. Install axle 6. It's going to slide up, and we're going to put in 2 screws. Yeah, 2 screws on each side. And they're going in right here at this area. So I'm going to go ahead and drill. Actually, I'm going to pull this out. I'm going to drill these 2 holes out and then clean up the mess from underneath it. Once again, this is just going to make it easier for me to get those screws lined up. The other reason that I'm not reaming these holes is, once again, because I am using PET CF, so that is a carbon fiber based filament. My fear would be that I might actually damage my reamers trying to ream those holes out to mill. And I like the reamers. I got them from KB3D, channel sponsor. Good friend, good buddies. Alrighty. So, like everything else, we're going to need to go ahead and try and align that shaft. And then bring these up and work to get the linkage points aligned. Feels like it's at an angle or something. There we go, it is. So we'll get this side lined up. Okay, so one side in. Go ahead and get this other side started. That there is probably muffled because that was like full up in my beard. Which way do you need to go? Up or down, up or down? Here you are. Note that I was just mumbling to myself there. Lurk for supper. All right, Liz, you keep doing that to me. What you having for supper? You know, if you're going to lurk for supper, you got to tell us what you're eating for supper. Because that ain't fair. All righty. We've got 3 axles in place. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 drive shafts in place. Got a little pile of PET CF here. Let me dump that out. All righty, so where are we at now? Let me get caught up on chat real fast. They have sleeping bags and tents at Menards and Walmart. That is true, 3D&T Printing. How's it going? Welcome on in. You live in Michigan, staying out in a tent during the summer is a hell no, too hot and muggy. Not to mention the weather here goes from hot and sunny to stormy in a few minutes. Well, that sounds like Florida. You just took up the price or looked up the price from Fabrico. It's 720 Australian and that's not shipping. Do you have, is there not an LDO distributor down in Australia, Mad Dog Jeff? Yeah, you can definitely self-source the hardware and electronics locally. It's a lot of M2 screws, a few M3s, lots of bearings. But these shouldn't be, after seeing the bearings here, they shouldn't be that hard. The MR63 that you use in the discs are standard in almost every extruder out there. Print files are on Cults 3D, that is correct. Yeah, so you have the kit itself. This is, I believe, a $500 or $600 kit. And then it's, you still have to buy the files, which is another 60-ish bucks off of Cults or Umagine. And there is a bomb. So when you buy the print files, you will get a spreadsheet that documents all of the prints and everything that's on each print bed. So you can basically use that Excel spreadsheet as a checklist to go through and make sure that you've printed everything. I will tell you, DeWitt, when he was doing his build last night, I was watching him. He had every build plate in a separate baggie. I would do that because that would have prevented me from doing the snafu that I had where I had these portal axles on this axle and the steering knuckles are slightly different. So yeah, if I had all the parts laid out in bags and was going bag to bag to bag, it would have made more sense. Had some pizza at the local pizzeria. There you go, Nemesis. That's pretty cool. Drim C, the shipping hurts real bad. So the other thing I will ask, what is your shipping from New Zealand? Because US or anywhere to Australia is really, really bad because the long distance, right? What's your all shipping from New Zealand though? because they're fairly close to you all, right? If so, I want to say, is it Bits and Bytes? Might be Bits and Bytes. No. Ay, ay, ay. There's a 3D printing company in New Zealand, and he's the guy that does the auto eject, but he has a store just like mine, well, similar to mine, filaments, machines, and everything down over in Auckland, New Zealand. And if the shipping from New Zealand isn't that bad, Proto Labs, no. I'll have to get his information. But it's Bits and something. But it's Makesh from the Auto Eject project, Automate 3D. So there is two versions of the kits. The first version that came out is the full kit that has all the electronics. Okay? Then there's supposed to be a light kit, which was around $300. That was all the hardware. It would be all the hardware, the wheel or the tires, the foam for the tires. Most likely the clear, transparent yellow, and transparent red filament would be in there as well. So yeah. And I don't know if that has the motors and servos in it or not. Okay, so we're here. We have all three of our axles are now installed. They're kind of just dangling from the, this one actually is being held up because it's got the two shafts in it, but the front and rear are kind of sitting down, hanging down to the table a little bit. Not too much support through the one rod and the link suspension. You have servos that make this one look like a toy. I wouldn't doubt it. Now we're going to put together some parts, and I'm going to look through the manual just a little bit here. Okay, we're building a shock tower. And then, okay, I was basically just trying to see how much we were going to do before we put anything back on this to see if I move this completely off the table or not. I think what we're going to do, I'm going to move those parts out of the way. We're going to attempt to move this lock, stock, and barrel. Just slide it down. Just like that. Now it'll give us some room to build some stuff right here, and then we'll install it as we get there. Yeah, we'd have to see what the actual light kit has in store for it. I'm just not sure what all it does come with. I think we're going to need both of these. You're definitely going to need this because this will be the shock tower. You're going to wind up needing these down the road. Those will be the upper shock mounts. Now, all the other parts that I have here are carbon fiber, or I'm sorry, PET carbon fiber. So PET carbon fiber. And by this set, this was the Tech brand. I started off printing the frame parts with Tech PET CF, and somewhere about 2/3 of the way through, I ran out and I just started using the PET CF because I had that here. So all right, so which one of these are we using? Looks like this one here. We're going to take this one, we're going to put 2 2x8s in. These are reinforcing screws. And we're going to do them on both sides because what's going to happen is it's going to tell us to build one side and then tell us to replicate for the other side, which is annoying as all get out. So what I'm going to do is just go through and do both at the same time because it makes more sense to me. Get started. Or not. It will. Basically just waddle out the very beginning of it and a good amount of force, it bites. And makes its hole. Do the same thing over here. All of our PET CF parts were printed on the KDQ2, and they were printed, I want to say, what was it, like 310 was where I was at on that. All right, so we did those two, and now we're going to grab squints. What happens when you get old? You start losing eyesight. All right. So these are going to come in from the one side. So we've got two different versions of these parts, right? One with 2 holes, one with 4 holes. Pretty sure the 2 holes are going to go in from one side and the 4 holes are going to come from the other side. And we need to make sure that we're putting this in the right way. So you'll notice they flip this around and we're coming in through this side now, not this side. Could really hit these with a heat gun real fast and see if we can clear out the stress marks on it. Means I'm probably going to need to do that to the small parts as well. Yep, let me do it. Let me just do it. I know it's the undercarriage and it should not really matter, but a couple of quick seconds with the heat gun and it'll look all nice again. All right, so we're doing, now that I realize which holes we're going into. 2x10s. Once again, this side coming in from this way. With these, I'm going to go ahead and drill these holes just a little bit. All right. A lot of just jumping back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Starting to get the other one lined up and started. I will say using all the fun filaments is nice, but watching DeWitt do his with all PLA, I'm like, that was a lot less, we'll say, stressful. Everything seemed to go assemble a little bit nicer and easier. He wasn't having to clean up as much. Now, I haven't had any problem with like shrinkage per se. It's been more of different materials and different holes. Not necessarily the whole size, but just the way the material prints. You will get some shrinkage up on holes. You probably go all ABS on it. Yeah, well, it's going to be outside, so probably ASA versus ABS just for longer term. But it's not bad, actually. It's not bad. Okay, so I would have assumed almost that these have gone like that, but that makes sense. So these are going to get sandwiched in there. Make that nice strong mounting point here. I believe these are going to be it's going to be the shock tower and the springs. So more M2x10 screws. So like I said, shock tower and spring mounts here. All right. So one down. Let's go ahead and finish off this other one. All right, so there's the second one. Hey, look, do the same thing for the other one. Amazing. Now we're going to take this part. Let me go hit this side with the heat gun real fast. A more proper way would have been to do that off stream so it wasn't as loud. How are these going on? The angles are on the outside. Check the correct orientation of the part. Okay, so we've got this stepped ledge here, and that's going to be towards this gap. We'll say, probably going to go on there like that. Okay, that'll give us that kind of square box right there. And yeah, it goes on the set of outside holes. We're going to do an M2 by 20s. I'm not going to tighten that one all the way down so I can get the other side lined up properly. Then we'll put some uggers to the duggers. Okay. Then we'll make sure that we're lined up in the same orientation on the other side and get that one going. You just looked at the version, removes the remote battery and charger, which you already have. Wife still made me upset because this thing is huge. Yes, it is 1,007 millimeters long, nose to tail. More if you do the overland camper, because I think it hangs out over the back more. But you can do it as a 4x4, a 6x6, a standard road truck with a flatbed, a overland camper. You have the like the cargo package for the cab as well. There's a lot of customizability to this. This picture shows a pre-release part. Do not worry if your print looks a bit different. A pre-release part. Don't worry if your part looks a bit different. I mean, I've got a shock tower already there, but everything else pretty much looks the same. 3 holes, 2 holes. All right. Yep. We're looking good. So next. Check the correct orientation of the frame we were just looking at and make sure that you have this cutout here, which we do. 1 M2 by 20, the long screw. Give you the possibility to mount some razors to adjust the preload according to your needs. Okay. Okay. We're going to screw down into the top of these parts, one on each side. Since these are going to also be covered up, I'm not going to try and go get the heat stuff off of this. I will go ahead and pre-drill these holes though. I have to sweep the floor before Mrs. Dragon realizes what I made a mess over here. All right. One shock mount on. One more to go. Once again, it is a longer screw than necessary, but that does give you the ability to make some adjustments and add some preload spacers. All right. Go. Now we're going to install it. Goes on the front. Looks like it's going to slide down in there somewhere in that area. I think I see where my screws are going to go. Install 2 M2 by 12 screws in the back, 2 in the front. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and drill these 2 holes out and these 2 holes out. Probably going to do these 2 while I'm at it because it's obviously going to be something else screwing in there. So yeah, I decided I wanted to do the suspension parts, as you know, a lot of the suspension parts and stuff and the drivetrain in the PET carbon fiber just for the rigidity that it's going to give us. Where did everyone else go? I don't know, Nemesis. They always take off and leave. So these 3 holes here, these are going over, I believe, existing screws, and these 2 are going to get other screws in them. So pretty interesting how this just drops down on there. Kind of like that. M2 by 12s. Yeah, everybody takes on, you know, comes and goes. It's all good. And go ahead and do one of these by hand until I get the alignment right. So we're doing 2 along the front edge. And then 2 along the back. For a total of 4 on each side. I think the bumper goes through here. Either that or it's the cab mount. Rapid advanced prototyping. Yep. Oh yeah. Have it done in metal, that's true. Somebody said something about, you know, having certain pieces of this done in Send Cut Send and how much would that cost? And I'm like, yeah, you'd probably want to have your own CNC at that point. With how much you'd spend. I mean, it's definitely possible. But if you thought your wife was going to kill you if you got one of these, probably really kill you if you go and have all the parts done in metal, or a lot of it done in metal. There are some versions that I've seen of Unimogs out there that use actual like metal axles and stuff from the hobby shops. We just repeated the steps on the other side. Ooh, we get to put in springs. Where's the springs? Oh. Look at these bad boys. Look at these bad boys. Compress the springs, release when they are in place. Don't worry, the springs will stay on once the shock absorbers are installed. Okay, well hopefully these stay on even without the shock absorbers. The size of these things. Now, if I come in here and take these off like that, it will sit down on those springs and it'll keep them from going anywhere. Now we're going to do some more build out. We'll move these off to the side. Do some more parts build. Like we're going to need that part and that part. A couple of those. Just say I'm probably going to want to hit these with the heat gun, so let me go do that real fast on several of these parts. I will be right back. I'm going to hit these with the hit these with the heat gun. Getting there, folks. All right. I think this set was done right after a fresh application of 3D lac. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Where are we at? We've got axle piece with arrow coming towards. Those are away. So the pieces with the arrows coming, I'll say inward. Going to install a couple of these with M2 by 20s. And once again, I am not doing the top of the shock mounts just because I don't think they're going to be visible at all. Hey, Mad Dog Jeff, you're back. Just been on the phone with a builder designing the steel for his 4 units. Okay. Is that like a long screws give you the possibility to mount some risers, adjust preload according to your needs. Arrow pointing forward identifies the 6x6 shock mount. Okay. So these, with the arrow going forward, the curved edge is facing the front here. And we're installing those on the back side down here. Let's see. Do that. I'm going to flip this around. Let's see how much of this I drop. Nothing. Good. 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 Okay. Whew. Front side's up here, rear side's back here. We just did these 2 shock mounts, and they're going to go with the flat side up against the side here, and these 4 holes here are going around holes that are in the frames, joining the frame. So that's going to help key it, and then this goes, screws into either side of a frame joint. So that just helps reinforce that frame joint even more. I was going to say, do not take your eye off the screw that you just dropped. Watch it the whole way. If you don't, it will take you forever to find again. What I'm going to do is just go and get a couple of these screws lined up and get a few turns in by hand. First time. Structured steel building for housing. Nice. You were in CAD all day long drawing it. Well, that sounds like fun, maybe? I don't know, you tell me and us. Was it fun? All right, the two front ones are done. Means hopefully that should have lined up the two back ones for us. Build engines make inappropriate, questionable comments to my coworkers all evening. Yeah, we do that a lot. All right, so one side done. We need to do the other side. It's going to be fun because we'll come in from this way. I mean, quite honestly, if you weren't cracking jokes all night long, I'd be worried about it. So you do it. All right. Now we get to flip this around. And I get to try and dig a screw out. Because that one sure as heck just... That screw had just gave up the ghost. And actually, let me... While it's there pinning it, let me do rear two. Grab the LDO provided screws, which are probably a lot better than the grade screw that I had previously. Is the one that just stripped out on me in the blink of an eye. I'm not actually sure if that one will get it because it's flat jaw and I might just be spinning my wheels. Let me grab one with teeth. This is not the first and it will not be the last time I have stripped the head of a screw on this kit. Especially going into the carbon fiber. Makes it that much more fun. You're a carpenter by trade, so building houses comes easy to me, and you do enjoy it. Detailing steel allows me to watch streams. Oh, gotcha. There we go. That's good. Well, we enjoy having you here on stream with us. Sorry that this is oh so tantalizing watching me try and pull a screw back out with a pair of pliers. It is so much fun. Especially when there's no real easy way to grab hold of it and you got maybe an eighth, maybe a quarter turn if you're lucky because of the geometry of the part you're trying to screw in. We're getting there though. I just had a really evil thought. Grab a 9/8 grinder and cut it off. Well, you know, I've done that. I've had to cut between two parts and then finish digging it out of the two parts, yeah. The group techs we have with us, our engine buildup, we all have been here 10 plus years, so we all can have an engine built from scratch and ready to run in about 6. Holy crap, that's fast. Hey, Shenanigans, how's it going? How are you doing, my friend? We're having fun. We just dug out a screw with a pair of pliers. You know, we're putting screws in PET CF, and along the way, you know, the hole's a little bit too tight. You tend to scrape off a piece. Okay, so we have those, or scrape off a piece. you tend to round over a few things. So we've got those two in. We did the other side. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 screws in. Now we get to install springs on this one. Again, oh yeah, these are, there we go. Look at these beefy kachungas. These are some beefy springs. All right, we got 2 done. 1 more set to go. We're going to use the other 2 pieces here, and the arrow is going to be pointing off the part. Rather simple. We're going to add the other 2 mounts. M2 by 20. Long screws give us the ability to add spacers and adjust spring preload. Alrighty, and these are on the back, and they will install with the arrows pointing towards the back. Same thing, M4 by 12. I'll do the one side, then I'll flip this around so you can see me do the other side. Once again, I'm going to just lined up on the holes. That one tightened up some. All right, front 2 are in over here. That means our rear 2 are going to be lined up, so we'll get those going. Springs, yes, springs. Hey, Nick, how's it going? Yeah, doing all the heat sets on this would suck. So lifting the back end up allows us to get at the screws and stuff. And now that we have those, this is going to get fun. See if I can get those two and this one here. All right. So once again, we got our 4 screws here. It's going to mount right there. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. What we'll do is try and get this started and just a little bit through the front. I'm doing good, Nick. Dropping things on the ground, tripping over a box. It's all good. I understand that down in the maker, but I mean, just think what you could use this for. There's so many things that you could use this for, like, driving one of the kids up and down the driveway or bringing in groceries. Utility tool. You can use it to antagonize the parcel man or woman when they throw your box all over the place and damage your deliveries. Okay, so those are now in place. One on each side. Ooh, we get a second piece that goes on this. 3 M3x12s. These get a secondary plate on the outside. Yeah, they all look like they're going to be the same. Notch on, there's going to be 2 at the front and 1 at the back. One at the back goes through so 2 in the front here, and then 1 that goes through that hole. And that basically just sandwiches it in there. And 2x12s. Driving around on at the mall, that might work. That might work. Or carrying all the packages and the shopping bags when you're at the mall so you don't have to. This one obviously lines up and go on the other side. Longer is the bigger diesel. Just put that anywhere. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and do that for all of these. Because I see it in the picture, I just don't know if I like missed it earlier. Big carrier, definitely. There was a guy that I saw that built one of these, and he made a custom gooseneck with a fifth wheel hitch in the tail bed so that he could pull his RC boat down to the lake. So he'd park, load up, pull this out, load up his RC boat on the trailer, and then use that to move everything down to the lake. I was like, dude, that's taking the craft to the next level when you need to do an RC to truck all your extra stuff and your other RC vehicles around for you. All righty. All right, folks, I do want everyone to remember that if you are in the North Carolina area, our next Maker Meetup is this Sunday. So again, Maker Meetups are the first Sunday of the month. We will have this out on display as well as looking at the Centauri Carbon with Canvas. We've had 2 in for repairs. One was fairly simple to get up and running. The other one, decidedly not so. Decidedly not so. We'll just say at the moment it is up and running and working. However, sans the RFID sensor. So I need to ask the customer if that's something they're willing to live with, or what we want to do to try and get that replaced. Jose from LDO was showing off a video of them carrying whole printers, big kit boxes around their warehouse. Yep. In fact, they had a death racer on the back of it at Midwest Rep Rat Festival, and I've also seen Josh Murrah had his V0 on the back of it, driving around with it. All right, so axle 6 only. Now repeat the same steps the other side. Done and done. The springs will not fall from their seats once the shock absorbers are installed in the next stage of the build. So we now have a completed stage. We've got front and rear suspension in the form of springs. We've got our drive shafts in place. We've got our link suspension there, so everything can move and twist, which is pretty cool. Next up is the shocks and the bumpers. Before filling with oil, unscrew the red ring and remove the internal spring. This project does not require it. And then it wants us to check a YouTube tutorial for adding oil, which is provided in the kit, to our shocks. And then we will install the shocks. Where are we at right now? It is 10 o'clock. We've been going for almost 2 hours. I think this is where we're going to call it a night, folks. Once again, we've made major progress. We've got everything up on wheels, or not on wheels, but everything on their shock mounts. Drive shafts in place, axles installed. Yeah, I think we did pretty good tonight on progress. Everybody, thanks for being here. I really do appreciate everybody coming and hanging out and chatting. Next time, what I'm going to do is look over the directions for doing the shocks. I won't do the shocks without you all. Don't worry about that. Oi. Taillights. I will not do the shocks without everybody, but I am going to look through and see what the process is for installing these bad boys. Here, let me pop over the dump side. So we've got a package of shocks, 2, 2, and 2. All right, so a package of shocks, but like, look at these bad boys compared to a hand. Like, these things are pretty darn big. Looks like we're going to be taking them apart, taking the springs out, and then filling them up with oil. I will go through and watch that video just so I understand the process before we come back in and work on that on Saturday. The motor box is empty. The only other thing we have is some wiring in there. So we're almost down with another box, and there's not too many left. So when we come back on Saturday, we'll be doing shocks. Actually, let's take a look through what we've got here. Let's see what all we have. That's not what. Go full display here. Looks good, and I can send you my address when it's finished, so you can just send it to me. Yeah, I don't think so, Jeff. But you will probably get a chance to see it at some point. Okay, so we've got shocks will be going on. We're going to get those. We're going to fit those front and rear, or front, middle, both sides, rear, both sides, bumpers. There we go. So these parts here will go at the front and become part of the bumper mounts. Oof the May. If this is going on the top and bottom, why the hell didn't you tell me to do that before we mounted everything up? I guess with shocks, yeah, with the shocks on there, it'll lock everything in, so flipping it over won't cause it any problems. So we'll do the bumper mounts, and we'll start installing the front bumper. Ooh, with insert headlight lenses. I should probably print those at some point before Saturday. Yeah. Well, see, it's a good thing we read ahead a little bit. Now I need to figure out how to, or not how to, but I need to plan on printing those headlight pieces before Saturday. Awesome. Cool. Your recollection is that it's pretty easy. You just don't want to get oil all exactly. Exactly. I am pretty sure that these are not pre-filled. And then we're going to have to make sure that we don't make a mess when we open these up and add oil to them. So yeah, I just want to look at the instructions and see about how much of a pain it'll be. But you may want to print up a RC shock assembly rack to help with bleeding of the shocks. Oh, crap. Okay. I might have to look that up and see it. Or, you know, maybe it mentions it in the YouTube video. Maybe not. We'll see. But okay, everybody. This is it. Thanks once again, everybody, for being here. It's been great. I think we're making great progress on this build. This is the fun part, is once we get everything on its suspension, and once we get tires on it, oh, that'll be great. Could be four flat parts with notches. Okay. Yeah, we'll figure that out. But like I said, thank you, everybody. It's been a great night. We made lots of good progress. And I will see everybody once again on Saturday night. Same time, same channel, both YouTube and Twitch at right around 7:30, 8 p.m. Take care, everybody, and have a great evening. Bye now.